Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, gods and goddesses. Welcome back to the Urban Bread Podcast, Birth of a Nation. I'm going to go ahead and give thanks to the Most High Mother and Father, our spiritual team, and our angels in heaven that guard and protect us, our ancestors and our cosmic family. I'm here to do a reading for the collective, so please only take what resonates and leave what does not. I'm going to go ahead and clear the energy. I ask that all low vibrational and chaotic entities and energies be removed, and that all entities and energies that walk in light and high vibration remain. Okay? With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the reading. So I did a little pre-pull already, and the first three cards that came out was the Ace of Swords, but it came out in reverse. Okay? The Ace of Swords came out, the Ten of Wands came out, and it came out in the upright. And then we have the Magician card that came out in reverse. So with those three cards being pulled, I saw that the energy was dealing with maybe a lot of manipulation and narcissism, okay? And I know that sometimes narcissism is a topic that a lot of people don't understand, or a lot of people don't really care to believe that there is such a thing and that it does exist. But so maybe you had that type of energy in your midst. Maybe you walked away from that energy, or maybe not. So we're going to pull some more cards so I can go ahead and clarify, okay? So the next cards to come out was Social Mask. Then I have Situationship Spiral and Take Responsibility. So you were probably dealing with some people, or maybe a particular person. This doesn't necessarily have to be romantic partnerships, okay? So I try to stress that a lot of times, but it can deal with relationships, you know, with lovers or whatever. Or it could deal with maybe your family members or your friends or whoever's inside your friend group or circle. But you had energies around you that maybe someone hide their motives behind politeness, makes mask slips under pressure. So maybe you had a person in your midst that the mask started to fall off, and you were starting to recognize some signs, and you were starting to maybe recognize a lot of tendencies, right? The truth started revealing itself. But you had a person or people around you that couldn't really take responsibility, and they tried to maybe shape your choices and shape your path. But let me tell you something. When you have someone that tries to warp your reality or shape your reality to make you believe that it's something other than what it is, then that is emotional manipulation, and it's also gaslighting, okay? But it seems like you start maybe pulling your energy back because you are taking responsibility as far as your own path and what it is that you need to do. So you have been moving away from a lot of those types of energies, and you don't really have too much of that around you anymore. But if you still do, because we are all on different timelines, then you've been called to maybe clean up some stuff or recognize some things. Notice the red flags early on. Notice when somebody cannot really take responsibility or accountability for certain things. But some of you have pulled your power back from a lot of those energies, and you realize that you maybe had an impersonator around you, somebody who's maybe either obsessed with being you, because like I always said, this doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship. It could definitely be platonic, not no romantic relationship. It could be a family member or a best friend, but you cannot really be friends with people that want your life. But this person was always in competition with you and was obsessing over you, copied everything that you do, and they probably had some kind of a reputation out there that maybe you weren't aware of. The person was running from their feelings. They maybe kept you in a type of energy where it always kept you guessing, and that's because that person or people you had around you were juggling. Now when I say people are juggling, they could have too many irons in the fire, like they trying to do too many different things, right? So the focus is not on that relationship or that friendship, right? And for some of us, it could have been a romantic partnership or relationship where the person was juggling you, maybe with other men if it's a female, and with other women if it's a male, right? So they had multiple priorities, and the mask started falling off because they weren't able to balance those decisions and those bad decisions that they made, because they probably made a lot of hasty decisions. But the next card to come out was that Hierophant card, okay? And so the Hierophant card deals with intuition. So your intuition was right about that person or those people, because they were impersonating. They were being an impersonator, they were wearing a mask. And you also had people around you, or maybe a person around you that was always coming up with something, like always trying to tell you about you, or tell you maybe what they heard somebody else say or whatever. Like they never had no facts, right? They claim to have all of these receipts, right? But the receipts weren't factual. You know, they were just coming up with maybe like so-and-so told me this, or I heard this, or whatever, just kind of like talking nonsense. So you have this messy storyteller, right? That's a person that never tells the facts how they are, and they always add to it to make it seem more than what it really is, right? So if you haven't walked away from that type of energy, you need to. You also had a person around you that was very jealous and always starting arguments. And for some of y'all, it even got physical. But that's because they were doing a lot of lying, and they were keeping up a lot of mess and starting shit, you know, with maybe what they heard or going off of what somebody else told them. That person didn't have their own mind. They weren't thinking for themselves, okay? And that's why you had a lot of that. They always talking about they had the inside scoop. So either they were trying to take a closer look at you by digging in a lot of your stuff, or you trying to take a closer look. But somebody feel like they had the inside scoop. What I'm looking at is no facts right here. And with this card talking about an inside scoop, that's a person that don't have the inside scoop on shit. All they doing is being nosy, maybe snooping on your social media. Damn, I can't talk. Snooping on your social media, or maybe like checking your phone, or you know what I'm saying, trying to see what you're doing, where you're going. But they don't have the inside scoop on nothing. They don't have no type of facts. And the person is just really just talking nonsense, probably trying to get a reaction out of you and see what you're going to say. But like I said, the Hierophant card came out, and the Hierophant deals with tradition and intuition and a lot of wisdom, right? So trust your intuition when it comes to a lot of people and a lot of things, okay? Remember, that person was wearing a mask, okay? I'm going to go ahead and pull some more cards. I want to go ahead and pull from my What's the Tea Oracle, so I can go ahead and clarify some of that. But some of y'all, the Knight of Cups card that came out, okay? The Knight of Cups, I have Scorpio out there, okay? And I have water signs out there. So my water signs out there, you have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You have a Knight of Cups coming in, right? And that deals with romance. Some of y'all have just stumbled upon some new romance or a new person, you know. It's not necessarily saying a friendship, but you following your heart right now. So by you following your heart and your intuition, it took you down another path, because you have someone that's coming in with another cup. Somebody trying to give you a different cup other than the one that you had before. Because that one that you had before, whatever you had around you before, you were dealing with a narcissistic friends or a narcissistic partner, okay? Which is, I'm sure, why the universe redirected you, okay? Your choices shape your path. Yeah, growth begins when you own your action. This is your turning point. So some of you had a turning point. You had something new to come in because you started respecting your own intuition. And you start believing in your intuition. Like I said, whatever you was feeling about a person or a group of people or a certain situation, it was true. Your intuition was on point because you were dealing with a lot of narcissism. So let's see. The next card to come out, Boss Daddy, Stable, Rich, Business Owner, CEO. I pulled this card before and it always cracked me up because it says big dick energy. So that person that's coming towards you is a boss. Whether it's a female or a male, that person that's coming towards you, maybe it came towards you already, is a boss. So you're going to be in some stable energy, okay? Better than what you had before, I'm sure. Stalker, lurking online, still checking your stories, obsession. Yeah, somebody, and probably that narcissist that's stalking you and looking online and checking. Remember I said somebody is like digging for stuff, looking for stuff, saying stuff that's not true. You walked away from something or somebody that was pretty much just throwing salt on your name. You know, they didn't have no proof or nothing. They didn't have their own mind because they was listening to what other people had to say, maybe listening to friends, maybe listening to a past lover, maybe listening to family members, but they really didn't have no facts. And they went at you with everything that wasn't based on facts, like based off of lies, you know, and they fed into that lie. So now they look like they stalking your social media, stalking you online, you know, still checking your stories and whatever it is you have going on, because they obsessed. The obsession never left. They still in that type of obsessed energy. Anytime you have a person or people obsessing over you, that's not really good, because it could get very dangerous, because it's filled with a lot of envy and jealousy, you know, and entitlement. So the next card, fake flexing. Acts rich, flosses money, acts fancy, shows off. Yeah, you have also someone in your energy, or the person that's probably doing all the stalking, probably going around flexing, acting like they have it like that, acting like they like to show off, okay? And maybe you moved away from that energy, that a person that's always trying to show off and always trying to fake flex and act like they have way more than they have. Because see how this money is showing in the pocket? That person likes to be seen and likes to just show off and show stuff. I don't care if it had to do with their money, if they had to do with their cars, their jewelry, whatever. But it's fake. It's fake flexing, okay? They don't have it like they're trying to act like they have. Maybe they're trying to make people pretend that they are doing better than you. Because if you are on social media, if you have any type of platform, I'm sure people are watching you. I'm sure the people you walked away from watching you, your ex, you know, lovers or whoever watching you. But they see that maybe you have moved on to something, and you moved on to that boss energy, or you have a boss that came through and offered you a cup and you took it and you moved on, because the next card to come out was moving on. Like, thank you, next. So you moved on to your next. You're in your next right now. And that person is pretending to be okay and fake flexing and showing their money, trying to get people to believe that they are way more than what they are. Okay? So I'll pull from my tarot deck again, so I can get some more confirmation on what all you were dealing with when it came to this narcissistic energy. So the next card to come out is the Six of Wands. We have fire signs out there. So my fire signs, you have Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries, okay? Let's see. Yeah, a lot of you are being recognized. You have public recognition out there, victory, progress, self-confidence. You have a lot of self-confidence, and maybe that's one of the things that a narcissist definitely doesn't like about you, and especially if you are an empath, is the confidence that you have, because they lack it. Everything that pretty much makes you is the stuff that they really lack, and the confidence is one of the main things. So if you have a lot of self-confidence and you're confident in yourself and your gifts and whatever it is that you do, and you're getting a lot of public recognition, and you seeing victory and success and progress, those are the things that the narcissists hate most about you, because they really want to try to take you down a peg or two, and you know, that way you can become codependent and become trauma bonded. But you moved on, you moved away from that energy, so I'm sure that's why they're stalking your page, okay? Because you have victory and success and progress. And like I said, if you haven't moved, you are headed in that direction to victory, success, and progress. You are no longer dealing with narcissism and narcissistic people. So the next card to come out is the Strength card. Yep, you had enough strength. You had enough strength to pour in yourself. You had the courage and the passion. You're pretty much stable now. You're balanced. You know, you took a deep dive into self, and your inner strength came out, okay? But you were dealing with a person that kept you in chaotic energy, or some of you maybe still dealing with a person or people that keep you in chaotic energy. Like everything is a fight, everything is an argument. That's because it's a lot of envy and a lot of jealousy. That's because those people want to be where you are. Like they either want to be you, they want to, you know, take your place, they want to take your man, take your woman. But you have to realize those red flags, and you have to realize those energies when you are in the midst of it, okay? Because a lot of people, a lot of times wear masks, you know, and they do wear social masks. They want to be in your energy, and they have motives. They want to be in your energy for whatever it is they can get out of you. And a lot of times it's a little too late before we even recognize that. So hopefully this video helped a lot of people, you know, or the ones that are watching or that's interested in whatever it is I have to say and the cards that I have to read, because all I'm doing is reading the card. The energy is there, okay? I'm reading all of the cards, and pretty much this whole reading had to do with narcissism and a narcissist, right? So maybe you'll know, you know, the next time you run into something like that or be around someone that has that type of energy, you'll know exactly what it is. Because like I said, a lot of people are not familiar with narcissism. So the next card to come out, and it came out in the upright, and this is the 8 of Wands. So we have fire signs. We got a lot of fire signs. We have a lot of fire energy out here. This reading is full of fire energy. Like I said, my fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So this came out in the upright and says speed, rapid action, movement, swift change. Yeah, if you've changed directions and you made a decision to go in another direction, okay, which is why you manifesting quickly. Yeah, you left some narcissistic energies behind, or a narcissistic person behind, because you're moving forward. That's why the wands are going like that. They're going full speed ahead. You're charging full speed ahead, taking rapid action. You have movement. You know, like how the young folks say, you got motion now. You got motion, and that's probably why that person going around, you know, talking shit about you, because people see it. So the next one that came out is the Seven of Pentacles in an upright, long-term view, hard work. Yeah, you're looking at something more long-term and not just surface level now. So, but you've been diligent and working hard at something, like you're investing in something. Either you've invested in something, which is probably yourself, or someone else, which came out with this Knight of Cups, decided to invest in you, you know, because they see something long-term and it's sustaining you, you know. You're getting sustainable results. So whatever it is y'all doing out there, like I said, just realize if you remove certain energies from your midst and from your environment, that's because you were dealing with a lot of narcissism. If you felt like you couldn't really get nowhere or move nowhere, you know, as far as your finances and just leveling up and just becoming a better version of yourself, that's because you were dealing with a lot of narcissistic people. Like I said, don't always have to be lovers. For some of us, you know, it is or it was. But if you haven't moved away from that energy, you already know now what it is, because the red flags were there, and now you focused on something else, and people really kind of like talking shit about it. People trying to retell your story, you know, but it's based off of no facts at all. That's why the no facts card came out, you know, because there's a lot of stuff was built on lies, you know. So next card that come out is the Six of Swords, and it came out in the upright. Transition. You have transitioned, you know. That's why that person, you see this person is like they sitting on that little raft or whatever it is, and like somebody came to save them. So it looks like a male that's paddling, and it's a woman and a child, right? So you picked up and left. You know, you transition, you change, you leaving behind the baggage, you release the baggage, you're moving on. You left that narcissistic person, that narcissism, that energy, you left it behind, and you have moved on, and you have started your new beginning. So that is your Six of Wands. I mean, I'm sorry, that is your Six of Swords that came out, okay? I'm going to pull a couple of more cards. I want to get from our Urban Truth Oracle, and then I'm going to go ahead and close. That will be the end of your reading. I already know what I'm going to call it. So pretty much all the cards that I pulled out had something to do with narcissism or narcissistic energy. And, you know, a person or people wearing a mask, you know, they're one way in public and a different way behind closed doors, okay? Next card to come out, energy never lies. Someone's intuition shows in their vibe. Your body recognizes it. Truth. First, pay attention to the signals. Yeah, I always tell people may lie, but energies don't. You're going to always remember how a certain situation or a certain person or whatever made you feel. You may not remember everything a person says, but you're going to always remember how it made you feel. So someone's intuition is showing their vibe. So start paying attention to how people make you feel, or how certain things make you feel. And if your vibe feels off, or if you feel like it's you know, something is going on, but you can't quite put your finger on it, and you feel like somebody just trying to gaslight your intuition, that energy and that vibe is usually never wrong. So start paying attention to your intuition. Start, you know, like not doubting yourself. And also it said that you feel in a certain way for a reason, you know, so stop ignoring it. And if you're dealing with a narcissistic partner or whatever, stop ignoring that too, because they will have you gaslighting your own intuition, you know. I'm going to pull one more card, and then I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So the next card, overreaction mode. Someone is blowing it out of proportion. Emotions are louder than truth. Drama heats up face. Yeah, you probably have somebody that was always overreacting, always just blowing up off of little stuff or whatever, and then they try to turn everything around and make it seem like it's your fault, okay? Y'all moving away from that energy. Get away from that chaotic ass shit. Get away from that narcissism and that narcissistic ass partner, narcissistic lover, narcissistic friends, family, or whatever. Move away from that shit, because you're not gonna prosper like that. You know, they're gonna always keep you in your head, and they're gonna always keep you, they're gonna always juggle you, whether they juggling you with friends, with other lovers, or, you know, with family. And that's because they try to get those flying monkeys and people on their side, right? This is why you always, you know what I'm saying, arguing with somebody and fussing and fighting over little shit. They never really have no facts. They just come up with lies or whatever it is they think is going on in their head. Because a lot of times people could think all kind of shit, and that's not necessarily what it is. But they are so used to, you know, certain things being played out a certain way until they end up self-sabotaging, okay? Because I know I've done it before. You could end up self-sabotaging a good thing only because you stay in your head about things that happened to you in the past, right? Okay, but do not, you know what I'm saying, underestimate a narcissist, okay? Because they will have you thinking all kind of shit. They'll have you thinking it's Jay with his day. So just pay attention to the energy around you. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Pay attention to how people make you feel. And just go off of that. Stop doubting yourself. Stop doubting your own intuition, okay? So that was my reading for today. I'll see y'all next time. Thank you.